welcome to the tour of Sandpiper, Sandpiper of St Helier. She's a Sigma 36. She was built in 1985 and we bought her in June 2016. So over the last 4 years we've been updating her and preparing her really for her trip around the UK and beyond. The beyond was the Mediterranean. However, COVID kind of put the end to that, really. Well, certainly for 2020 and possibly for 2021, but never mind. We would like to walk you through the pictures because we didn't have a video then. So I'll walk you through the pictures and show you what we did to update her, really, and bring her into the new world of Tanya and Gary Moxon owning Sandpiper of St Helier. The workshop. Well, I call it a workshop because this is how our boat looked on a very regular basis. You can't do projects and live on board without it looking like this through the day, and then on a night time I did my very best to make it look like a home again. So yeah, there was a lot of putting tools in and out of toolboxes, but that's how the life goes when you live on board and you update your boat. The galley, the place, the tiny galley, the place where I cook amazing meals. No, I lie. I do not cook amazing meals. In fact, Gary does. I just do the, you know, like the basic stuff. But hey ho, it's an absolute joy to cook in our galley. But space really is a premium. Everything has its place, and Gary designed this plate rack, and as you can see, coffee is really high in our kind of things that keep us going throughout the day. And yeah, so you can see the coffee pots actually neatly put all in arm's reach, but giving maximum space on the worktops. So those of you who are looking at this and going, oh my god, how naive are they? Those things won't stay there. Well, it's been tried and tested and they do stay there. However, when we're on passage, we, like many sailors, don't use these beautiful white plates that my mum bought me, and we had when we had a house. We have, you know, the stainless steel dog bowls with, you know, like really, they're really not glamorous, but they do the job. And we have the thermos flasks, and when we're on passage, then we have like the whistling kettle and stainless steel dog bowls, and that's how we actually eat. Yeah, less spillages, should we say. However, the galley looks great, and I love what Gary did to it. Thank God he's a joiner, because he did that with relative ease. Well, here's the view with the wide camera lens to our saloon, taken from the companionway. As you can see, we've got a colour theme that's definitely bright, and it's definitely a light colour. White. White. Gary was determined to have white, and it does show the wood off really, really well, and it makes the boats look bigger than a postage stamp, which is a good thing. Compact and bijou is boat living. But white, actually, it's stood up really well. We've got beluga, I think it's called, leather look, should we say, vinyl really. But wet wipes keep it in really good condition, and so it stood up really well, much better than I thought. And our cushions are made from an outdoor material, because everything on a boat has to have two purposes. And so our cushions are actually our sun lounger cushions, as well as being our indoor comfy cushions for when we want it to look like a home. So yeah, it's done really, really well. And colour choice, we changed our colour choice several times, but because I'm such a happy, vibrant person, we went for yellow and orange. And why the heck not? Because that's sunshine material. Well, what does it look like on a night time? Well, it looks like this on a night time. The saloon is dawned in beautiful coloured LED lights, but to be honest, all of the lights have been changed to LED. And whilst the bulbs cost an absolute arm and a leg, it's been absolutely worth it. They, if not only for the power saving. Well, this is our quarter berth. I actually call it our snug. That's a land-loving word, I know, but our snug is really comfortable, and it's where I read my books, and I even put a little rug on it so that it was warm and cosy. It's got lots of cubby holes, lots of storage places, and you can never have enough storage places on a boat. So yeah, so our snug is where we keep a lot of our electrical equipment, our tools, flags, all of that sort of thing really. Binoculars are also kept there. Our snug also looks onto our nav table. Our nav table is somewhere where I sit often. I'm at the nav table, plotting out passages and reading the charts and that type of thing. And so you might notice when you look at this picture that we have an old-fashioned telephone set. And we just had to keep it. We just had to keep it for nostalgia, really. We've changed all the navigation to B&G on the boat. It was a big cost, but it's also been well worth it. Gary installed it all, and you have holes if you take out some of the old equipment. So a lot of the old equipment we've actually left in, but the new stuff works fabulously, and it comes highly recommended. We've done everything by B&G, and it has paid dividends when it comes to navigation. Okay, well, talking about navigation, let's navigate ourselves to where we sleep. We sleep in the rear cabin, and actually entry and exit of our rear cabin does require a little bit of boat yoga, as we have to crawl over the pillows to actually get into our bed, and then obviously slide down into our bed. Now for this photo, well, I crawled to the bottom of the bed because what I wanted to show you was that we do have a wardrobe, albeit compact, and Gary built us some shelves, which means that I use osprey bags to put all my clothes in. They are amazing because they keep them from getting damp. But as you can see, our storage for clothes is quite minimalistic, which means that when I moved from the house, my several wardrobes were reduced to this tiny wardrobe and these bags. So I had to go through my clothes on several occasions to reduce it to this. And you can see I've still got my scatter cushions, which drive Gary absolutely nuts. But a girl needs a few land-loving bedroom decor things, and they don't weigh very much, so I think they're just fine. Well, if you think our bed living is kind of quirky and compact and bijou, well, welcome to the Heads. And for all of my friends who are not sailors, the Heads is known as the toilet. Yeah, it's filled with all the toiletries that I had in my land house, and we put up shelving to do that. But as you can see, it's compact and bijou, and love is enough. I really love this makeup bag, so I brought this with us as well, and I think it's just beautiful. Well, that's the inside. So let me show you above the decks and all of the projects that Mini Gary took on. Certainly not me. I do the clearing the tools away, remember? That's my job. I make food, keep Gary supplied with coffee, and yeah, pass the tools every now and then. So I'm learning what all the tools are, so that's a good thing. In 2017 we took her out of the water and applied the annual anti-foul, as you do. So I just thought we'd show you this picture because I think she's an awesome boat with great lines, and I'm sure you would agree. Designing the spray hood. Now this was a bit kit that I did not, in my opinion, think Sandpiper needed. I mean, she's a performance cruiser. She didn't need a bonnet. Oh, that's my nickname for the spray hood. How wrong was I? The spray hood, obviously designed by Gary, because we hadn't seen a Sigma with a spray hood before. It's been an absolute godsend. I totally got it wrong. It shelters us from the wind, the rain, and not to mention keeping the companionway dry when the waves come bouncing along the deck from the bow waves. So the spray hood was a huge success, and Gary's design was perfect, I now think. Oh, and here's another picture of Sandpiper out of the water. We took her out in 2018 in this picture. Again, for her annual scrub and a bit of an anti-foul touch-up. We've been very busy in 2017 and 18. Gary took pity on me and fitted a furling system, so I didn't have to go up to the bow and take the hand-con sails off and on, which was amazing. Yippee! We have a furling system, and now we can reef from the safety of the cockpit. The prop, the shiny prop. We fitted the Daglo feather stream prop. It's shiny, you've got to admit, and it was well worth its money. We reckon we get an extra knot of speed out of it, so that's an extra 24 miles a day, which you can't complain about. So we fitted the prop. Gary installed a full B&G navigation system, and we also bought some new sails. Contender CDX, I think the material is. So she's looking really good now. And we also put a radar on, a B&G radar, of course, because we're big fans of B&G. So yeah, so she's feeling ready to take on the water for some sailing. So let's see how that goes. Sailing Sandpiper is always a dream. She teaches us a lot. She slaps us when we get complacent. Our training ground is the Irish Sea, which is challenging in itself. But we've learnt loads, and we really enjoyed the time that we raced. We did quite a bit of racing with them. We did some cruising also, where we went over to the Isle of Man, and we went to Kukubri several times. But most of the time we raced around the Cans. But I'm sure you can agree, her new sails look fabulous, and she's doing what she does particularly well, which is sail. Once again in 2019 we took her out the water yet again to do the job of anti-foul and fairing the keel, etc. This time we changed our product for anti-foul, and we put on Seajet Shogun 033. It would come highly recommended. We've done a lot of research on it, and it certainly was high in the rankings, and we've not had any problems with it. In fact, she came out the cleanest ever the following year in 2020. So in 2019, I think we made a really good decision of putting that on. We changed colours, so you see now she's blue instead of being a red hull. Gary also installed one of the most challenging jobs, I think you would call it. He had to change the location of the batteries because we were now going to install 400 amp hour pure lead carbon batteries, whereas previously we only had a house battery bank of 1. So this was a big step up, and it meant that there was a lot of yoga that Gary had to do because we decided to put the batteries underneath our bed. So we now have 400 amp hours in batteries and a separate engine starter battery. It was a big job, but it took a lot of patience, and it was a big job more so because of us changing the location. But it certainly enabled us to now consider how we're going to charge the batteries, which is solar power, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in future photographs. The anchor's a thing that keeps you secure, and as any cruiser will know who's trying to save money on mooring fees, that your anchor is an essential bit of kit. Having done an awful lot of research, the Spade was our chosen anchor, and I think it's once again proved to be a successful choice. We've done quite a bit of anchoring since we put it on, and she's never let us down. So very, very pleased with it. The other addition when we put the anchor on was obviously renewing the anchor chain for calibrated anchor chain, and also putting some new warp on there. Okay, well this picture, as you can see, we've now got dodgers, another thing that I didn't want. However, I realised that they, yet again, keep you dry. So they were an essential part, and I actually love them now. And the fact that we've written Sandpiper on them makes me love them even more. But this picture shows you quite a lot, really, of the projects of 2020. And 2020 was the year that we were going to start our cruising. So it was a push. It was a big push to get her ready to sail to the Med, or so we thought. COVID kind of put the end to that, and we decided to do the UK and Northern Ireland instead. However, let me talk you through some of the projects for 2020. Again, taken on by Gary. Amazing. He's very, very good at design and fabrication and installation, because he's got a firm belief that if we do all of that, then if anything goes wrong, then we know exactly how we put it together. And that's in everything that we've done. But the thing that you can see in this photo is the beginnings of us putting together an arch which would hold our solar panels, and the arch was designed, fabricated and installed by Gary. The solar arch, in Gary's mind, needed to not just look like an add-on, and we knew we needed a bathing platform and a step for me to be able to get out of the dinghy and back onto the boat. So he designed it all as one. So it was really important that the construction looked minimalistic yet strong and sturdy. And so Gary used stainless steel handrails, like you'd see around an apartment really, as his main material for this. And whilst it presented some of its challenges to get it to be sturdy enough, he absolutely achieved this. And I'm very proud of him for that, because it was a big feat to do, to be honest. Once he got that sturdy, we got it welded, so a bit of spot welding in the area just got it to be perfect, really. And then we could install 2 400-watt solar panels and somehow get them to stay on top and not come off with high winds or anything like that. So Gary looked to music staging to find the fittings for that, and yeah, they're there, and all of the charging paraphernalia that needs to come with that has also been installed. And whilst I'm not quite sure what I'm doing when I'm looking at all of these buttons that you have to press, etc., to see what's happening, Gary knows exactly what it's all about, so that's good, and I will learn as time goes on. We also decided that given that we were going to go to the Med where the sun shines, and it's, you know, we're pale-skinned Brits, we should have some shade. We knew we couldn't have a binami, but if we could have some shade for just when we were sitting in the cockpit at anchor, then that would be great. So Impact Marine, who had made our sails, who had done that beautiful vinyl leather looking interior and all of our cushions and the Dodgers, and Impact Marine have been our go-to place, to be honest, and highly recommend them. They're amazing. They took Gary's design for the shade, and the shade has worked particularly well, even in the English sun. We do get it occasionally. And we have drop-down panels down the sides as well, so that we're not just shaded over our heads, but we can also take some shade from the sun as it moves across the sky and comes in the side. So yeah, so that's worked really, really well. So we've now got Dodgers, sunshade, solar panels, solar arch, a bathing platform, which I've used to have a shower, do some free swimming in Scotland this year, and we've got in and out of the dinghy on several occasions, and my little short legs have been able to do it because of Gary's design, really. So hats off to my sailor. I thought I should show you the Teak Steps. The Teak Steps were done by Taff Howells. Such a gent, really knew what he was doing, and his services were excellent. He was a really good communicator, and I think when you're buying something and paying so much money for it and relying on somebody else to do the construction, communication is huge. You want to know your templates have been received, that the timeline that you agreed for the goods to be delivered is still within, well, probably, I don't know, maybe a week longer than he said. But to be honest, we were in the middle of COVID when he was doing all of this, and so I would highly recommend Taff for his workmanship and his communications. And you know what? All you need to do is put salt water on them to maintain our teak platforms, and they've been admired a lot. So remember this, Taff Howells, if you want anything done in teak, he will do a brilliant job. Here we are in June 2020, and we say a very big thank you to Whitehaven Marina, where we stayed for 4 years. Absolutely loved it. The workforce there are brilliant, and we got to know them quite well. And so here she is in the slings, going into the water for the last time. Well, last time in Whitehaven Marina, should we say. And then, finally, on August the 12th, we left Whitehaven Marina at 4 o'clock in the morning. We decided to go at 4 o'clock in the morning because goodbyes are really difficult, and we'd done a week of goodbyes, and so rather than have another tear-jerking moment, we left at 4 in the morning. So we left at 4 in the morning, and this is the sunset that we saw while sailing on the Irish Sea to our first destination. So we were on our way to Northern Ireland, Bangor, and here she is, and there's the sunrise. I hope you liked the tour of Sandpiper and us talking through some of the projects that we took on board. I think there's probably only one project. No, there's several projects I probably haven't told you about. And probably one of those was another piece of B&G, which is that we did put an autopilot. Who can cruise without an autopilot? An essential bit of kit. And so we decided to have a B&G one. So, yeah, there's no photo of that, but I thought I'd tell you about that. And when I took this photo, we were probably sailing via autopilot. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I look forward to doing another YouTube soon. See you later, guys. Bye bye. Take care.